£384. 384 quid. I've got a horrible feeling I'm going to need a new oil tank. This is just one thing after another, isn't it? I'm going to have to spend some serious money on this motorcycle. So I don't know what's going to happen with this bike. It seems like it's absolutely gremlin filled. Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the garage. Now, it's been a few weeks in real time since my last fateful ride on the Kawasaki KH250. No, I didn't say my trusty Kawasaki KH250, because the last ride culminated in a bit of a disaster. I had some electrical issues.
Right, my bike has unexpectedly stopped.
I had to trailer the bike home. Go and check out that video if you haven't seen it. Anyway, in this video, what I want to do is tell you all about my plans for the bike and what's been going on since then. But before then, can we just take a moment to thank everybody that left such constructive comments on that last video with little hints and tips for how I can get the bike back on the road again. So there's a number of common themes that kept coming up. One was, lots of people said, why are you riding with your full beam on all the time? Well, the fact is, I'm not. It just looks like I have. Because if you look at the idiot lights on here, here we go, look, that's it. Look, the bike is off. It looks like the high beam is always on. It's just got a funny blue finish on it. Looking at it, I thought it might be a blue sticker or something, or it's a bit of blue plastic or something, perspex, I think they put on there, so that when the high beam is on, it shines through the blue plastic and then it shows up blue. So obviously the high beam isn't on now. I can prove it, look. Nothing happening here. So yeah, I didn't have the high beam on all the time. That's that. So there you go. So please, no more comments while you're riding with the high beam on. The other one that lots of people mentioned was I'm riding on reserve all the time. Now I've got a aftermarket petcock on here. It's right here. It's very, very stiff. Now it says here at the top, RES for reserve. Off there, look, and there it says on at the bottom. Now I've been using it so off when it's in the middle. I've been moving it to the top so that this part pointed to on when I was riding it, but it turns out everybody's saying no, you should move it up for reserve. So I was indeed running it on reserve. So apologies there. I mean, this is the way, no one's ever told me that, so this is the way you learn, isn't it? So from now on I should be moving the petcock down to the bottom position to run it, and then top reserve. I of course don't want loads of crud out of the bottom of the tank, maybe going into the reserve inlet, which will be of course lower down in the tank. Now, talking of crud, the other thing that lots of people said was, when are you going to install those fuel filters in the fuel lines that come out of the petcock, like Alan Millyard said? Well, when I made that last video, that was only a couple of days after Alan had been here, and I'd ordered the fuel filters, and they hadn't come yet. But it's next on my list. I've got the fuel filters. Here they are. They look like this, and I've got the tubing as well to go with it. So that's another little job that I'm going to do once I've got the electrical gremlins sorted out. So that's on its way for a future video. But before I get into all that stuff, what I wanted to do was get that side panel that flew off sorted out. Again, on a previous video, I was doing about 70 miles an hour. Side panel flew off, broke into 1,000 pieces. Car swerved to avoid me where I stopped, rode over the side panel. Absolute nightmare. So anyway, I thought it was going to be difficult to source a side panel. Turned out it was quite easy. Went to eBay, got one for about 50 quid, but it was unpainted. So the next job was to get it painted. So I've taken it to a local paint shop to get it sorted. They've got both panels so that they can match the colours up. And yesterday I popped back to the spray shop to pick it up. Let me show you how I got on. Right, I'm on my way to the paint shop now, just a local place a few miles down the road, to pick up the freshly painted side panel, which I'm told is now ready for collection. Apparently it was quite a hard colour to match, but they said they'd give me the tin of paint if I ever need it in the future, so that's good. And I think they kind of said that to offset what is likely to be a high cost. Everybody said that it's all very well getting a panel, but actually getting it painted is what costs the money. So we'll find out, and I'll let you know in a minute once I've picked it up. Right, I'm at the paint place. Wish me luck. Right, so the deed is done. Lovely guys here, top job. Let me show you. Here's the new panel. There we go. And there's the old, or the other panel from the other side. I mean, matching absolutely perfectly, and they look beautiful. Turns out it was a two-stage pearl paint apparently, which is quite hard to do, but they managed to do it for what they said was a great price. I've never had this sort of thing done before. Here we go, look. £384. 384 quid. Still, anyway, at least I know it's done properly. Oh, and I did get a tin of what is JMT Caspian Blue paint in case I need it in the future. Okay, so a bit of a shocker there. So I absolutely don't want that to happen again. Number of people said, why don't you replace the grommets on the bike? And Alan Milliard had already said that to me. So again, I've ordered some new grommets. Look, here we go. 3 of those to go on the side where this splendid panel clips in. If you actually look at the, now I'm going to get told off for turning it over on here, but there we go. If you look at the little studs on here, that's the original. These do look a bit fatter than the ones on this sort of pattern part. So they don't hold in quite as well, but actually these new grommets do seem much more sturdy and fit there quite well. So anyway, so new grommets for that. I've also bought some R-clips here, so I'm going to attempt to drill a little hole through and maybe put an R-clip on as well to keep it secure. Again, something that many people suggested to me. And then of course the other bit that needs to be done with these side panels is new badge to go on. And again, I thought that was going to be really hard to source, but actually it was quite easy. Here we go, look, got myself a new badge which just sticks on there. And okay, it's not absolutely identical to the original, but it's not, this has got sort of some chromy plastic bits on here, whereas this is more matte on the silver bits. But actually they're so close it makes no difference. And given they're on opposite sides of the bike, no one's going to be comparing the two. So quite happy with that. I got that off of eBay and that was only about 14 quid. So that was actually a bargain. Anyway, all in all, this side panel has been an expensive situation. If you add everything up, it's been about 450 quid, I think, to get this sorted. So yeah, definitely don't want that happening again. All right, so first things first, let's get the new badge on. And in Sod's Law fashion, I was looking at this just now before I turned the camera on there and thought, oh, it looks a bit flat, whereas that's on a bit of a curve. So I went to bend it slightly and I've snapped it. What an idiot. Anyway, luckily, I think it will go on without you noticing it, but there we go. I'm not good at this, am I? Anyway, let's get this sticky back off. You get one go at positioning this. So this one here for comparison purposes. And I have cleaned this, don't worry. So there's no goo or anything on it. Oh, this is not good. I've broken it already. How can you believe it? Right, let's have a look. So, keeping it together like that. Needs to go on about there, I'd say. Let's see. Come on, Andy, don't bugger this up. Now, annoyingly, even though that is super sticky, it clearly ain't going to stick on there, is it? What a flipping nightmare. I don't know. I think what I'll do, because it's all plastic, this is obviously 3D printed as well, is I'll glue that back together so it's one piece. And then I'll think about what sort of glue I can hold that on there with. So even that I can't do, so that's a job for another. Some people said I shouldn't own a classic bike and I should be put nowhere near practical stuff, and I'm starting to agree with you. But anyway, I'll soldier on. So we'll forget the badge for now, we'll do that another day. I'll just, let's pop the new grommets on. I can't mess that up, surely, and see if indeed I do need to put the R-clips on. So this is the side that has been behaving itself anyway, and I just gave to the paint shop for colour matching purposes. So we'll stick that in there. And that feels, see, that feels pretty firm to me. I don't think there's anything wrong with those grommets. I can't see that one flying off. Actually, looking at that now, I can see this badge on here. That looks like that's been broken as well. Somebody else has snapped one, putting one on at some point. See, it's not just me who's a numpty. Right, this is the troublesome side, so let's whip these old grommets out. I don't know if there's a technique to this. Look how loose they are, can you see that? Incredibly loose, so yeah, maybe they're the originals and 50 years on. In fact, comparing them, look, the new one is much bigger. So hopefully that's going to be, it might well be a secure fit without having to worry about drilling and putting R-clips in. So that's one. And I just pull out, yep. And there, so yeah, they're all quite tiny. That one's quite tight. Come on. Come on, you bugger. Right, okay. Let's get the new ones in. In fact, I don't know again, is there going to be a technique to this? How hard can it be to put a blooming grommet in a hole, for goodness sake? So close. Come on. Nearly. Get in there, you bugger. Try not to destroy the new grommet while I do it. There. Crikey, I hope the others are a bit easier than that. How can it be so hard to put a grommet in a hole? Well, answers on a post. No need to tell me in a comment, okay? Right, next one. There must be a technique to this. which clearly I don't know. Try not to spear my finger while I'm at it. Oh, come on. Oh, please. Are we there? Yes, we are. I'm making this look quite hard, aren't I? Maybe it is. Right, third and final. This one's much harder to get at, so if I made a meal of the others, this one's going to be... Let's just make a note of the time. 16:48. How long am I going to fight with this one? Come on. Get in there. Come on. Ugh. Jesus. Ah, this is proving tricky. There's a bit of oil around there from the oil tank. It seems to be a little bit leaky from the sight glass here, look. Look at that coming out of the oil tank. Look at that, it's pouring out of there now. Oh, look at that. Unbelievable. New oil tank required, I think. Can you see that? 2-stroke oil now just leaking out of there, just because I touched the window. I've got a horrible feeling I'm going to need a new oil tank. This is just one thing after another, isn't it? What a nuisance. I'm not even sure if I should take it to the garage now. Well, let me come back to that in a minute. Yeah, let me have a think. Bit of a breakthrough on the on the oil tank front at least. Look, I just noticed when I was fiddling around here, I was just cleaning some of the oil off, thinking that what I could do is maybe just put some tape over it so at least I can continue with the bike until I can get myself a new oil tank. But it turns out this is actually a screw-in fitment, and I've just tightened it up and it's stopped that leak, look. So it turns out we're good, and I don't need a new oil tank after all, just to make sure that is really tight. All right, so that's one new crisis averted. Let's get back to this grommet. I won't trouble you with me fighting for it. I'll just go for it, and then I'll show you in a second whether I've succeeded or not, okay? Speak to you in a moment. More good news, I wish I kept the camera running actually, because no sooner as I said I'll speak to you in a moment, I gave that a little try, and it went in quite easy. So I must have just had the knack that time. Anyway, 3 new grommets in. Let's now see if the side case feels a bit more sturdier. 1, 2, 3. That did feel quite good actually, made a satisfying click as I did it. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Let's just have a look. I'll have a look around the back to see if it is possible to put any sort of R-clip or circlip type thing in there. I can't see how I'd get at the back there to actually put it in. Could I do one on that side? Not really. So lots of people said in the past they used to drill holes through them and put cable ties in to hold them, things like that, but I don't see how you can get actually behind it to do that. The good news is the new grommets seem really quite sturdy, and that feels absolutely fine. Let me just give that a quick de-fingerprint. And in terms of the colour match, they've done a lovely job there, haven't they? Just a flipping shame about that logo. I need to think about what glue I can use to stick that on there and give that a go. Probably, I don't know, I mean this is obviously multi-pack paint they've got on here. I was thinking something like Airfix type glue, you know, a plastic glue. Anyway, got any ideas, let me know. Right, I've had another brainwave, I'm excelling myself today. So again, on pondering this and glue, I had a look around the garage to see what glues I've got, and I haven't got anything really that will work for that. And I thought, well, why use glue? Why don't I use some sort of double-sided tape? So I had a little hunt around, and I found some double-sided sticky pads. These are the sort of things that you maybe stick a number plate on with, and some double-sided tape generally. Now, these are quite thin, but they have got a little bit of depth, so it's like I think there's enough depth that will get around that curvature issue, but at the same time it's not so thick that it'll look like it's sticking out proud. So I think what I'm going to do is, number one, put a bit of normal sellotape on the back of this so it's held in place, and then use those double-sided little sticky tabs to put it on the actual side panel thing. So let's give that a go. Right, let's just secure the two pieces together with a small piece of tape. Right, so at least I know they'll be positioned right, and then double-sided stuff behind that. There you go, that's what I've done. I've just put those 3 sticky pads on the back there. So that should now just be a matter of sticking that on the side panel. How hard can it be? Let's give it a go. Before I do anything though, I will just give that a little wipe with some panel wipe to make sure there's no contamination that stops things sticking. Here we go, I use this stuff. This isn't an advert, this is from G-Technic. It's quite expensive panel wipe. I use it to clean the matte finish on my Ducati Street Fighter, which has got that grey finish. But actually, all it is like a special, almost like alcohol that evaporates quite quickly. That means you can clean things like this. It gets any contamination off, and then quickly evaporates, leaving it lovely and clean for things like stickers. All right, so it's going to go on basically there. Could just work, couldn't it? Let's give it a go. Looks about right there, doesn't it? Seems pretty solid. Another result, winner. Look at that, it's like the real thing. All right, so we're making some progress, success there with the side panel. Very pleased about that after what I thought was going to be a disaster with the oil tank. Anyway, we move forward. Next issue to sort out is the electrical issue that had me bringing the bike home in the trailer. Now, I think it could be a number of things. It could be a charging issue with the battery. Alan Millyard actually has since said to me, what about replacing the actual ignition switch itself? So I've got one of those on order. I'll do that at some point anyway. And then the other thing that Alan mentioned when he was working on the bike was that he thought some of the wiring just generally looked a bit iffy, and it might be worth getting a wiring loom fitted at some point. So I thought I'd bite the bullet and actually take the leap, and rather than messing about trying to fault find, actually get a new wiring loom installed. So I went onto eBay, and for 199 quid, would you believe, all the way from Japan, here we go, brand new wiring loom for a KH250 from 1978. Isn't that incredible that you can still get these things? Now, of course, it's one thing getting it for a couple of £100, it's another thing installing it, and something I have learned is you can't just phone up a Kawasaki dealer and say, can you sort my KH250 out, because basically they don't want to touch them. I even went to my mate Nige, who sorts all my bikes out. He's my local independent mechanic. He doesn't want to touch it either, because of course you can go down a right rat hole with these things when you're trying to diagnose faults on two-strokes. Anyway, lucky for me, I did find a two-stroke specialist just outside Aylesbury, and he has agreed to fit that wiring loom for me, so I'm hoping that's going to fix things. So that's the next job, is to get the bike loaded back into the trailer, secure it down, take that wiring loom tomorrow to Aylesbury, and maybe we'll get the electrical gremlins sorted out once and for all. Right. Not so fast, just as I thought things were looking up. And I was getting to the, getting stuff sorted on the KH250. I thought, just before I load it into the trailer, I'll just have another little go with the key and see if I can get that ignition light to come on. And to my great surprise, check this out, look. I turn the key on, and now it's coming on, look. So there is power to it. So I thought, what I'll do is I'll kick it over and see if I can get the bike started. So I put the petrol cock down into what we're now saying is the on position, and then petrol absolutely poured out all over the floor here, look. It came out like an absolute tap. Can't quite work out where it's coming from. I think it's, well, there's a little bit of pool of petrol down the bottom of it now. Which is basically back to square one where I was before Alan came round. So it's an absolute head scratcher. So I think what I'll do is I'll take it to the two-stroke specialist tomorrow. I'll get him to do the wiring loom as planned and see if he can work out what the heck else is going on. But I think either way, I'm going to have to spend some serious money on this motorcycle. Right, so I've got the KH250 in its favourite place, safely secured in my trailer, so I can take it, as I say, to the specialist. So I don't know what's going to happen with this bike. It seems like it's absolutely gremlin filled. I don't know, is there an issue with the charging system? Is there an issue with the ignition switch? Is there still some sort of issue with the fuel flow, or the fact that it came out like a tap again? Have I got a leak somewhere? Who knows what's going on? Do I need a new wiring loom? I don't know, I'm going to get one fitted anyway. But anyway, I'll see what the specialist says, and who knows when we'll see the bike again. But stick around and stay tuned. I will, of course, appraise you as to what happens next. I have no idea what's going to happen.